I still remember the smell of fresh grapes that morning, sweet, warm and comforting, rising from the vines like a memory from childhood. That smell had always been a promise for me, a sign that no matter how hard life became, I had something real, something pure, something built with my own hands. But that morning, everything felt different. There was a strange heaviness in the air, as if the earth itself was trying to warn me. When I walked toward the vineyard, I immediately noticed something was off. Rows of vines I'd nurtured for years were being handled by people I didn't recognize. Workers moved around briskly, carrying equipment I had never seen before. Large machines, expensive ones, sat on my fields as if they belonged there. For a moment I thought maybe I was dreaming because none of it made sense. Then I saw them, my uncle, my cousins, and my brother. They were standing together near the main storage shed, talking casually, laughing even. Not one of them looked surprised that I had shown up. It felt like they were expecting me, like this entire moment had been planned. I walked toward them slowly, my heart pounding, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. Before I could even open my mouth, my uncle raised his hand. "From today," he said with a voice colder than I'd ever heard from him, "this vineyard belongs to us." I froze. I actually froze. I stared at him, waiting for the punchline, the laugh, the explanation, but none came. His expression didn't change. My cousins smirked, and my brother, he didn't even meet my eyes. At first I thought maybe this was some kind of prank. My family wasn't perfect, but they weren't monsters, or at least I thought they weren't. But my uncle continued, "You don't need to worry anymore. We'll take care of everything." There was something cruel about the way he said the word "we," like they had formed their own team, one that no longer included me. I finally managed to speak. "What are you talking about? This vineyard is mine." My uncle crossed his arms. "Not anymore." My brother stepped forward, holding a file in his hand. "You signed the partnership papers. You gave us full authority. Don't you remember?" My heart sank so fast it felt like the ground had disappeared under me. Partnership papers? Authority? What was he talking about? He opened the file and showed me the papers I had signed months earlier. The same papers they had insisted were temporary, just for expansion. They had told me it was for growing the business, for bringing in new investors, for upgrading equipment. They told me it was routine, standard, helpful. Those papers were now being used against me. "You gave us decision-making power," my brother said emotionlessly, "and we decided you're no longer needed." I wanted to scream, I wanted to tear up the papers, I wanted to shake him until he came to his senses, but I couldn't move. My body felt numb, like my soul had stepped out of me and was watching everything from a distance. Then my uncle added the final blow. "You are legally removed from management due to misconduct." "Misconduct?" I shouted. "What misconduct?" He didn't blink. "You diverted funds." "I what?" "It's all documented," my cousin chimed in. "We filed a complaint. The board approved your removal." "There is no board," I yelled. "You created one, remember?" My uncle replied calmly. "Your signature is right there." I looked at the papers again. My own signature, my own trust, my own stupidity. They had played me. I had signed away control of my own vineyard because I believed family could never hurt me. I believed blood meant loyalty. I believed trust was stronger than greed. But greed had won. My knees felt weak. I could barely process anything anymore. Workers I didn't know were now walking around like they owned the place. My own workers avoided my eyes. Machines were ripping through the soil I had spent years nurturing, and the people responsible for this destruction were my own blood. Then the final humiliation arrived. Security guards stepped forward, real guards hired by my family. My family! One of them said, "Sir, you need to leave the premises." I stared at my brother, silently begging him to say something, to stop this, to at least show a hint of guilt or shame. He didn't. He turned his back on me. At that moment, something inside me broke. Not physically, but emotionally. A crack appeared inside my heart, a space that once held trust and love, but now filled with disbelief and pain. The guards escorted me out, off my own land, off the soil my father had left for me, off the dream I had built with my bare hands. I didn't fight, I didn't argue, I simply walked out, because there was nothing left to say. But as I walked away from the vineyard, the cold morning air hitting my face, I made a quiet promise to myself. I will return, and when I do, nothing will ever be the same. The days that followed felt like walking through a fog, with every step heavier than the last. I woke up each morning with the same feeling: confusion, heartbreak, and a deep sense of betrayal. It was like losing a loved one. Except this time the loved ones were still alive, and they were the ones who hurt me. My phone didn't ring. No worker called to check on me. No supplier asked what happened. No friend reached out. It was as if I had suddenly vanished from the world. I tried visiting my lawyer, but after reviewing the documents, he sighed and shook his head. "You signed everything voluntarily. They didn't steal anything from you. Legally, they hold majority authority." "But they lied," I insisted, my voice cracking. "They manipulated me." "Prove it," he replied, and I couldn't, because I had trusted them, because I had signed documents without reading the fine print, because I had believed family would protect me, not destroy me. For the next several nights, I barely slept. I sat alone in my house, staring at the walls, replaying every moment in my mind, every handshake, every smile, every meeting, every trick disguised as advice. I kept asking myself, how could they do this to me? Why would they want to take everything? What did I ever do to deserve this? But no matter how many times I asked, there was no answer. The silence inside my home was loud, too loud. Some nights I barely ate. Other nights I didn't even bother turning on the lights. I felt empty, lost, betrayed by the people I trusted most. But darkness doesn't last forever. Sometimes when you're at the lowest point, life surprises you. And for me, that surprise knocked on my door one evening, literally. When I opened the door, there stood an old man, dusty clothes, tired eyes, rough hands. But there was something familiar about him, something comforting, something connected to my past. It was Mr. Kareem, one of my father's oldest workers. He stepped inside slowly, looking around my dimly lit house with sadness. "I heard what happened," he said softly. I didn't respond. I didn't trust my voice. Then he placed a small wooden box on my table. "Your father left this for you," he said. "He made me promise to give it to you only when the time was right. And son, that time is now." My heart started beating faster. "What is this?" He placed his hand gently on the box. "Your truth." When I opened it, I found something that made my breath stop. Original land documents, handwritten, stamped, signed. Documents my family didn't even know existed. And next to them, a private agreement written by my father before he passed away. Turns out the vineyard wasn't one big property. My father had split it, quietly, strategically. I owned 70% of the land, the heart of the vineyard, the oldest vines, the water source, the production area. My family had access only to the remaining 30%, temporary access, not ownership. They thought they had taken everything from me, but they had overlooked the most important part. My part, the part that actually mattered. I looked up at Mr. Kareem, shocked. Why didn't he tell me all this? "He wanted you to grow on your own first," the the old man said, "and he wanted to protect you from greedy people. Unfortunately, he knew exactly what your family was capable of." I closed my eyes. Pain hit me again, this time mixed with realization. My father had seen what I didn't. He had known. He had tried to warn me, indirectly. And now, even after leaving this world, he had protected me again. For the first time in months, hope returned to me. Quiet, slow, warm, like sunlight slipping back through a crack in a dark room. That night, I didn't sleep from sadness. I didn't stay awake because of heartbreak. I stayed awake because of something new. A plan. A silent, strategic, unstoppable plan. I knew what I needed to do next. I would rise again. I would rebuild. I would reclaim my father's land. And I would do it in a way my family would never see coming. This time, I would fight back. Not with anger, not with fists, but with success. And success is the one thing they could never take from me again. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in months. Pain and betrayal still lingered, but they were now sharpened into focus. I wasn't going to waste my energy on anger or despair. I was going to act, and act smart. I started with the land. Even though my family thought they controlled the vineyard, the documents from my father proved otherwise. This land, the fertile heart of the vineyard, the water sources, the oldest vines, was mine. Every row, every patch, every inch I had nurtured for years was legally and rightfully mine. That was my weapon. That was my leverage. I called my old workers first. The ones who had quietly respected me, the ones who had laughed with me under the sun while tending these vines. They were loyal, not to blood, but to hard work, honesty and integrity. One by one they agreed to join me again. Some were hesitant at first, afraid of my family's wrath, but the moment I showed them the original documents, their eyes lit up. They knew we had the upper hand. Then came the equipment. My family thought they had the best machinery, the best technology. But I knew something they didn't. Modern equipment without the right knowledge, care, and timing could destroy the harvest. They had rushed, overpaid, and mismanaged. I, on the other hand, knew every vine, every soil patch, every irrigation schedule like the back of my hand. I ordered the necessary machines, refurbished the old ones, and set them up meticulously. By the end of the week, I had reopened a small section of the vineyard, almost invisible at first. It looked modest, nothing compared to my family's newly acquired grandiose setup. But this was intentional. I wanted them to underestimate me. They did. The laughter I heard when they saw me wasn't subtle. "Look at him," one cousin sneered. "He thinks he can compete with us? This tiny patch." My brother smirked. "He's delusional." Their eyes carried arrogance, the kind that always precedes a fall. And I let them think it. I let them bask in their false victory. Then I started planting, not ordinary grapes, but the original varieties my father had perfected. Grapes that had been the pride of this land for decades. Grapes that only I knew how to nurture. They were special, delicate, and required exact care. I spent hours in the soil, tending every vine, testing water levels, adjusting fertilizer ratios, controlling pests with precise methods only I understood. Every seed planted was a silent message. Days turned into weeks, and my vineyard slowly began to flourish. It was subtle at first, just enough to make the grapes richer, the soil healthier, and the flavor superior. By the time my family noticed, it was already too late. The first buyers returned to me, distributors who had once been loyal to my vineyard but were now wary of my family's rushed expansion. They tasted my grapes, saw the quality, and knew exactly where to place their orders. Orders multiplied quickly, restaurants called, Hotels wanted exclusivity. Every delivery, every handshake, every positive review was a small victory, a reminder that success couldn't be stolen by lies. My vineyard had a heartbeat again, and it was stronger than ever. Meanwhile, my family's business was unraveling. Their overconfidence led to mistakes. Grapes. Spoiled because they didn't understand the new planting methods. Water management went wrong. Equipment was misused. Even their workers, once my father's loyal team, started leaving quietly. One by one, they returned to me, subtly, without fanfare. Investors started questioning the sustainability of my family's vineyard. It was a domino effect, and each piece fell silently, deliberately, under my watchful eye. Every day I observed their panic from a distance. They didn't understand how I had grown so fast, how my small vineyard was already outpacing their larger one. Every conference call they had, every meeting with suppliers, I imagined their faces tightening with frustration as they realized their empire was crumbling without them even knowing why. And then the subtle sabotage worked even better. I didn't need to confront them, yell or fight. I simply excelled. Excellence became my weapon. Quality became my revenge. One afternoon, my brother came to my small office, the same room where I had received the documents from Mr. Kareem. His expression was cautious, unsure. "Your vineyard, it's thriving," he said, almost whispering. "How are you doing this?" I looked at him, calm, measured. "Do you really want to know?" I didn't wait for an answer. "Everything you see here, the land, the soil, the workers, the techniques, was always mine. You took the wrong part of the vineyard. You built your empire on borrowed ground. Your success was an illusion." He said nothing. His jaw tightened. His eyes darted down at the floor. I could feel his shame, his disbelief, without him speaking a word. That silence was worth more than any confrontation I could have staged. But I didn't stop there. I had more plans. I started building relationships with distributors and buyers who had been hesitant to work with my family. I offered better pricing, consistent supply, and guarantees they couldn't refuse. Word spread fast. Soon, even local media began to cover the remarkable comeback of the vineyard owner who everyone thought had lost everything. My name was back in circulation. My reputation was intact and growing stronger every day. I also started documenting everything, every order, every delivery, every supplier conversation, not for legal purposes yet, but as proof that my vineyard wasn't just surviving, it was dominating. I wanted my family to see, to understand that I had risen not because of their failures, but because of my own skill, intelligence, and perseverance. The emotional weight of all this was immense. Every night I reflected on my father's vision, the years of hard work and the betrayal I had endured. Pain remained, but it no longer paralyzed me. It became fuel. Every setback, every false accusation, every moment I had been pushed out became motivation. Each day I grew stronger, wiser, and more precise in my actions. I also spent time planning the final part of my comeback. I didn't just want to regain my vineyard. I wanted to expose the truth, let my family face the consequences of their arrogance, and make them understand the cost of betrayal. I devised strategies that didn't involve direct confrontation. I would let the natural consequences of their decisions and the superior quality of my vineyard speak for themselves. Weeks later, my family began to notice. Their investors called with complaints. Their employees whispered about my vineyard's success, and the buyers they had ignored now preferred me. Panic started to seep into their gatherings, their meetings, their conversations. I could see it in their eyes whenever they glimpsed my new vineyard. I could feel it in the tension in their voices. The real turning point came when my first big order from an international distributor arrived. My family had been negotiating for months to secure it, but I closed the deal overnight. The delivery went out. Media coverage began highlighting my vineyard as the hidden gem that returned stronger than ever. My family's pride turned into jealousy and desperation. They couldn't understand how I had managed it. They thought they had destroyed me, and now they were watching their empire crumble, powerless to stop it. I continued my work silently, relentlessly. I hired experts to optimize the irrigation. I trained workers to follow the old methods my father had perfected. Every vineyard inspection, every soil test, every harvest was my statement. I didn't need to yell or accuse. I simply grew, flourished, and proved that talent, dedication, and vision cannot be stolen. By the end of this phase, my vineyard wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Orders were consistent, buyers were loyal, reputation intact. And my family? They were on the brink of collapse, employees leaving, customers abandoning them, spoiled harvests, investors doubting their judgment. Everything they had tried to build on stolen ground was falling apart, one failure at a time. And the best part, I did it without ever confronting them directly. No lawsuits, no shouting matches, no public accusations. I didn't need to hurt them physically or even verbally. The silent rise of my vineyard, the undeniable proof of my skill and rightful ownership, was enough. Every morning I walked my vineyard, inspecting the vines, feeling the soil, tasting the grapes. And every evening I watched my family struggle with the consequences of their greed. It was slow, but perfect. It was justice disguised as growth. It was revenge served without malice, only precision, patience, and dedication. By now, my reputation in the region had shifted completely. People who had once doubted me were now praising me. Competitors were taking notice. Local media called me the vineyard prodigy who returned from nothing. And deep inside, I knew the real victory wasn't in the accolades. It was in the lesson I had taught my family. That true ownership, talent, and vision cannot be stolen. And that betrayal eventually collapses under the weight of its own arrogance. Even more importantly, I had reclaimed something far greater than the vineyard itself. I had reclaimed my dignity, my confidence, my future. I had transformed the pain of betrayal into the power of triumph. And now, I was ready for the next phase, the moment when my family would realize that their greed had led them to the wrong fight and that their downfall was inevitable. Days turned into weeks, and the cracks in my family's vineyard became impossible to ignore. Every mistake they had made in their rush to control my father's legacy started to surface. Grapes that should have thrived were rotting in crates. Irrigation systems failed because they didn't understand the subtle balance of water and soil. Workers grew frustrated with their poor planning and began quietly leaving one by one. Meanwhile, my vineyard was flourishing, each row of vines a testament to years of experience, love, and dedication. I moved silently, efficiently, letting my actions speak louder than words ever could. The first major blow came when one of their largest buyers cancelled a long-term contract. They called me instead, desperate for a reliable supplier. I agreed, but I negotiated terms that ensured they couldn't reclaim the business. Every day I watched them struggle. Their expressions became more desperate. Their conversations turned frantic, full of accusations and blame. Their smiles were gone, replaced by tension and fear. I didn't gloat. I didn't taunt. I simply continued my work, confident that their collapse was the natural result of their greed and incompetence. One morning, my brother approached me again. This time there was hesitation in his steps. He avoided eye contact, shuffled papers nervously in his hands, and spoke in a low voice. "Things aren't going well," he admitted. We may have underestimated you." I nodded, listening quietly. "Underestimated? You mean you thought you could steal everything from me and walk away unscathed?" I kept my tone calm. The anger simmered beneath the surface, but I didn't give it away. My control was more powerful than any shouting match could ever be. He looked at me, almost pleading. We need your help, please." I paused. I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence stretch. It was long, suffocating. Finally, I spoke. "Help you? You took what wasn't yours. You kicked me out of my father's land. You lied, cheated, and destroyed the trust we shared. Why should I help you now?" His shoulders slumped. He didn't respond. The rest of my family arrived behind him, my uncle, my cousins, each looking beaten, exhausted, defeated. I could see the realization in their eyes. They had miscalculated. They had underestimated the knowledge, skill, and resilience I had poured into this land, and now they were paying the price. I decided to give them a choice. Not because I wanted to punish them unnecessarily, but because I wanted them to face the reality of their actions. "I can help you," I said slowly, deliberately, "but not as a partner, not as a brother, not as family. I can only help as the rightful owner. Understand this: the vineyard, the land, the water, the vines, they all belong to me." Shock swept across their faces. My brother stammered, But we thought..." "You thought wrong," I interrupted, holding up the original documents. "Everything you've been running, everything you thought you owned, was never fully yours. You took the wrong part. You built on borrowed ground, and now you're paying for it." I could see their minds working, desperately trying to reconcile their arrogance with the truth. My uncle's jaw tightened. My cousins shifted uneasily. The silence that followed was deafening. Over the next few days I worked with them, but on my terms. I showed them how to properly manage the sections of the vineyard they were allowed to use. I trained them to follow my father's old methods, taught them about soil composition, irrigation, and the delicate timing of harvests. They had no choice but to listen. Without my expertise, their vineyard would collapse completely. The orders started returning. Buyers who had abandoned my family's vineyard for me now relied on my knowledge and connections to secure supplies. Hotels and restaurants that had been loyal to my family's brand for decades now preferred my grapes, and the difference in quality was unmistakable. Even local media began covering my success, praising the vineyard owner who had been thought lost but returned stronger than ever. Their desperation grew. I could see it in every meeting, every phone call, every anxious glance in my direction. They tried shortcuts, they tried bribes, they tried hasty fixes, but nothing worked. My patience, precision, and understanding of the land always outmatched their quick-fix solutions. The irony was delicious. They had tried to destroy me with legal papers, lies, and manipulation, but the only thing that mattered in the end was skill, dedication, and truth. One evening, as I walked through the rows of vines, I reflected on the journey so far. From the betrayal that nearly broke me to the careful planning, silent revenge, and rise of my vineyard, every step had taught me something. Betrayal is a teacher, but it's up to you whether it makes you bitter or better. I had chosen better. I had chosen strength, but I knew the final act hadn't arrived yet. My family still hadn't fully grasped the consequences of their actions. They needed to understand that betrayal carries a price that cannot be avoided, and that price was about to be revealed in full. The turning point came when one of the largest distributors in the region called my family's vineyard. They had been loyal clients for years, but their loyalty had wavered, as orders became inconsistent and quality deteriorated. The distributor asked for my contact information, insisting on sourcing from me directly. Panic spread through my family's office. My uncle and cousins argued furiously, blaming each other for every misstep. My brother, usually smug and overconfident, sat silently, his face pale with fear. I didn't interfere. I simply watched. My vineyard continued to grow quietly, consistently, perfectly. Each vine, each cluster of grapes, each delivery was a silent message. This is what real dedication looks like. This is what happens when you build with love and integrity. Meanwhile, I strengthened relationships with suppliers and investors. Those who had once doubted me now came to me, asking for advice, guidance, and partnerships. I had turned the tables completely. My family had underestimated not only my knowledge and skill, but also my patience. They had assumed their temporary ownership would be permanent. They had assumed I would remain broken. They had assumed that a vineyard can survive without heart. But the vineyard is more than land. It is life. It is labor. It is care. And I had all three in abundance. My family tried one last desperate measure. They approached lawyers, filed additional claims, threatened to cut off my access to water and shared resources. But each attempt failed because my foundation was solid. Every action, every document, every transaction was protected. I had prepared for their desperation, anticipated their moves, and countered them without confrontation. The culmination of this period came during the harvest season. My grapes were superior in every measurable way. Buyers came in droves. Media attention amplified our success. My family's vineyard struggled with spoiled fruit, disgruntled workers, and declining sales. They were forced to acknowledge, silently and bitterly, that the rightful owner had returned, not as a beggar, not as a victim, but as a master of the craft they had tried to take from him. And then, one morning, it happened. My brother walked into my vineyard, visibly shaken. His posture was hesitant, his eyes avoiding mine. "We need your help," he said. His voice was small, unsure. "Please, without you, we won't survive." I looked at him quietly. For months, I had imagined this moment. I had rehearsed what I would say, how I would respond, and the lesson I wanted them to learn. My eyes met his, steady, unwavering. "I will help," I said slowly, "but not as your partner, not as your brother, and not as your relative. I will help as the owner. The vineyard, the land, the water, the vines, they all belong to me. Understand that." The shock on their faces was immediate. Their arrogance, their overconfidence, their false sense of control all vanished in an instant. They had built their empire on stolen ground, and now they had no choice but to submit to the truth. It was not a satisfying victory in the moment. It was a profound, quiet one. They didn't need humiliation. The collapse of their plans, the loss of orders, and the overwhelming success of my vineyard did all the work for me. They had underestimated me, and the consequences were undeniable. The vineyard had been restored, stronger than ever. My family's respect returned not because of blood, but because they now understood the value of integrity, dedication, and true ownership. I had taught them, silently but completely, that betrayal is a risk when greed overtakes loyalty, and that real skill cannot be stolen. By the end of this phase, the balance had shifted. I controlled the majority of the vineyard, oversaw all major decisions, and ensured that every aspect of production honored my father's legacy. My family remained involved, but on my terms. They had learned the hardest lesson possible, that betrayal carries consequences, and that the rightful owner always finds a way to reclaim what is theirs. The day of final confrontation arrived quietly. It wasn't announced. No shouting, no dramatics. Just a calm morning with sunlight spilling over the vineyard, birds chirping and the wind rustling through the vines. The same wind that had carried the whispers of betrayal months ago. But this morning felt different. There was a sense of inevitability in the air, a silent understanding that everything was coming full circle. My family arrived, my uncle, my cousins, and my brother. Each carried the weight of defeat in their eyes. Their usual arrogance was gone, replaced by something I had never seen before. Fear and respect. They knew the truth now. They had lived through the collapse of what they thought was their empire, and they had no choice but to face me, the rightful owner. I met them at the center of the vineyard, standing tall among the rows of grapes that had survived everything, betrayal, neglect, and greed, and now flourished under my care. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scold. I simply looked at them, letting the silence speak louder than any words could. Finally, my uncle broke it. We miscalculated, he admitted, his voice low. We underestimated you, underestimated the vineyard, and underestimated your father's legacy. I nodded, listening calmly. The betrayal, the pain, the months of planning, and the quiet victories, all of it had led to this moment. You did more than miscalculate, I said slowly. You tried to take what was never yours. You turned greed into your strategy, and you paid the price. My brother stepped forward, hesitant, ashamed. Please, we don't want to fight anymore. We need your guidance. Without you, we're lost. I looked at him, weighing my next words carefully. There was a part of me that could have refused entirely. There was a part of me that could have walked away and let them suffer completely. But I didn't. Not because they deserved it, but because my father's dream was bigger than revenge. My father's dream was about growth, unity, and legacy, and I wanted to honor that dream, even if it meant dealing with the very people who had betrayed me. I will help, I said finally, but on one condition: everything must be done transparently. No lies, no shortcuts, no greed. You follow my lead, and you respect the land, the workers, and the vision my father left behind. Their faces fell, a mixture of relief and humiliation. They had no choice. Without me, their vineyard would continue to crumble. With me, they had a chance, but only if they accepted reality and worked under my terms. Over the next weeks, I guided them carefully. I taught them the old methods, shared knowledge that only years of experience could bring, and supervised the harvest personally. They were forced to learn humility, patience, and respect for the vineyard. They began to see the depth of my dedication, the precision of my work, and the love I had for the land. Slowly, grudgingly, respect replaced resentment. The turning point came during the Harvest Festival, a tradition my father had started. Normally, my family would have led it, celebrating their perceived ownership. This year, however, the roles had reversed. I oversaw the harvest, and my family assisted under my guidance. Visitors tasted grapes that were richer, sweeter, and more vibrant than ever. Orders were placed, partnerships renewed, and praise flowed to the vineyard, once thought lost. Watching my family witness this, I realized the power of silent victory. Revenge is often imagined as destruction, shouting, or punishment, but sometimes it is far more effective to rise above, to rebuild, to excel, to make success the loudest statement of all. And that's exactly what I had done. My brother approached me later, alone, as the sun set over the vineyard. I never realized, he said quietly. We thought success was about taking, but now I see it's about nurturing, patience, and integrity. I didn't respond immediately. I let him speak. We thought you'd be broken, defeated, but you've shown us the truth. That real power comes from love, care, and dedication, not shortcuts, not greed. I nodded slowly, feeling the weight of months of struggle lift slightly. Exactly, I said. You learn from mistakes only when you face the consequences, and sometimes those lessons are painful. But growth, real growth, comes from humility and patience, not theft or deceit. My uncle and cousins joined us, each offering apologies, not just words, but acknowledgement. They didn't need to be forgiven. The vineyard itself had shown them the reality of their actions. And in that moment, I realized that the final victory wasn't just mine. It belonged to the land, to the workers, and to the legacy of my father. Together, we rebuilt the vineyard completely. I took majority control, 75%, ensuring the land was managed wisely, efficiently, and respectfully. My family operated under my guidance, gradually understanding the principles that had made this vineyard thrive for generations. Slowly, trust was rebuilt, not out of fear or obligation, but from recognition of skill and leadership. Months later, the vineyard was thriving beyond anyone's expectations. Visitors poured in, buyers lined up, media coverage highlighted the remarkable recovery of a lost vineyard and praised the skill, vision, and dedication of its owner. My family, once arrogant and greedy, had learned the true meaning of respect, patience, and diligence, and I had learned something equally powerful: that betrayal, as painful as it is, can be transformed into a catalyst for growth, excellence, and self-mastery. Looking back, I understood the full journey. Betrayal doesn't have to break you. It doesn't have to consume your life. Sometimes, the greatest revenge is quiet, patient, and constructive. It is rebuilding stronger, growing better, and proving without words that talent, dedication, and integrity can never be stolen. I also learned about family, loyalty, and trust. Not all bonds are unbreakable, but all actions have consequences. Those who betray may temporarily gain, but the foundation they build is unstable, and eventually truth prevails. Success, nurtured with care and integrity, stands taller than any deceit. Today, I walk my vineyard every morning, feeling the sun on my face and the earth beneath my feet. I see the fruits of my labor, the legacy of my father, and the lessons learned through pain and betrayal. And I smile, knowing that even in the darkest moments, hope, patience, and perseverance can create miracles. To anyone listening, remember this: betrayal may wound you, but it doesn't define you. Rebuild, rise, excel. Let your success speak louder than anger. Let your integrity outshine deceit, and let patience guide you to victory. Because in the end, the land, the labor, and the truth will always prevail. And as for my family, they finally understand. Respect isn't demanded, it is earned. Trust isn't given lightly, it is proven. And legacy isn't inherited, it is nurtured, protected, and cherished. My vineyard stands today as a testament to these truths. The land thrives, the grapes flourish, and the dream my father left behind lives on, stronger than ever. Betrayal tried to destroy it, but patience, skill, and determination rebuilt it, and in doing so, taught a lesson that no deception could ever erase.